Welcome back to Scandalous Los Angeles TV, where we expose the exposers. It's starting to look like Reggie Wright's plan to put Keefe D in jail for the murder of Tupac Shakur is finally starting to unravel.
I'm 22. I told you, don't fuck with Reggie Wright. And somehow when people fuck with Reggie Wright, their world get turned upside down real quick.
I thought we ain't no snitching.
Is Reggie Wright a rat? No, Reggie Wright is not a rat. Reggie Wright was a police officer.
I know y'all, Reggie's a buster and all that. He was just a cop, hadn't been a cop in 30 years.
According to Lieutenant Love's boys, it is impossible for Reggie to be a rat ever in life, because Reggie was a police officer 30 years ago. I'm pretty sure Keefe D would disagree. Whatever the case is, Carl Arnold, who represents Keefe D, filed the motion to dismiss in the District Court of Nevada yesterday. The Arnold argues that the delay in the proceedings has resulted in the dimming of memories, the death or disappearance of witnesses, and the loss or destruction of material physical evidence, thus impacting the prosecution's ability to prove their case against Davis. Too many witnesses have died or are in prison, claims Arnold. The attorney has also pointed to an alleged proffer agreement that Davis struck with a federal task force back in 2008, which Davis claims included a blanket of immunity in exchange for information about Shakur's murder. The crazy part about that is that I've heard Greg Kading go online and say that Keefe D didn't have immunity.
And the U.S. attorney have a conversation, and that's when the agreement to cooperate is made.
Okay, and that's the proffer agreement.
That's the proffer agreement.
Explain to everyone, because this question comes up whenever I do interviews about this, the difference between immunity and proffer.
So there's two types of immunity, ultimately. There's called use immunity and transactional immunity. I won't get into those differences other than Keefe never got immunity, Keefe never got immunity, Keefe never got immunity, which means that you can't be prosecuted. Right? That's the whole thing. You're immune from it.
So you guys just heard Greg say that Keefe did not have immunity. Now, listen to this clip, where Greg says the total opposite. In this clip, Greg says Keefe does have immunity.
Keefe D's a convicted drug dealer, a known gang member. He's perjured himself before, so his own credibility will be in question, and now you're taking his information, and he has immunity in regard to his own confession. And he has immunity, and he has immunity, and he has immunity in regard to his own confession.
Did you guys hear that? Things like this are the reason for Keefe's attorney to file for a dismissal. The craziest part about the whole proffer session, that nobody is talking about, is that the whole confession from Keefe D was coerced. This was exposed by the FBI agent, Phil Carson. It turns out that the murder confession made by Keefe D during the proffer session he had with Greg Kading was coerced.
And they were not allowed to record interviews. And so we were honoring that for Jeff, the FBI guy with us, because he said he can't sit in if they're being interviewed unless he goes and gets special approval. And we weren't going to wait around for that. His decision to surreptitiously record that interview is everything. I can't even tell you, I could never have done the book or any of these things. We wouldn't be here where we are today, honestly, I don't think, if he hadn't secretly recorded that entire interview.
I think the recording that I've listened to where Greg Kading just starts doing all the talking, that's not how a proffer session works on the federal side. I think the recording that I've listened to where Greg Kading just starts doing all the talking, that's not how a proffer session works on the federal side.
Well, I'm thinking, that's what all the police department. And the circuit one, or the resident, you can come out with your hands up.
In reading this transcript, once Detective Long leaves the room, they're completely leading Keefe on what to say and to stick to the story and not let Keefe speak freely. And instead, they're putting words in his mouth to say, this is what you need to state during this interview. In reading this transcript, once Detective Long leaves the room, they're completely leading Keefe on what to say and to stick to the story and not let Keefe speak freely. And instead, they're putting words in his mouth to say, this is what you need to state during this interview. if you stick to this story, you'll sleep well. If you don't stick to this story, you're not going to sleep well, and we're going to potentially cause problems for you, which is complete police coercion, which is crazy. It's not acceptable, obviously. It's hard to be believed, but I'm reading it, so yeah.
Do you guys know what this means? This means that the entire story about Orlando Anderson being the one who killed Tupac was a lie. And Greg Kading and Darren Dupree instructed Keefe to lie during his proffer session, repeating the story that they had rehearsed. You guys know what else this means? This also means that the entire story about Marion Knight hiring Poochie to kill Biggie as retaliation for Tupac's murder is also a lie.